Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, depending on where you're catching us from. My name is Michelle Malunga, and I will be your host this afternoon. You tuned into another episode of the Scale Up PrEP Access Campaign live show, and you're watching us live on Facebook, on YouTube, as well as Twitter. This show is brought to you compliments of the Zambian Youth Platform, ZYP, with support from PepFAR and Chaz. We sincerely apologize for airing today's show a bit late, but we are grateful that you joined us. Today's show, I am joined by Gezire Tembo, who is the Deputy Country Director Technical for Rise Up. Gezire, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Michelle, and good afternoon to everybody watching. Thank you.
We're also joined by Sabiana Piri, who is the Youth Friendly Advisor. Sabiana, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Michelle, and good afternoon to everybody on the platform.
We're also joined by Lucas Banda, who is a Data Associate. Lucas, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Michelle. Good afternoon, everyone who is watching.
And we are joined by the lovely Chola Kauma, who is our sign language interpreter this afternoon. Good afternoon, Chola. Okay, so we'll get right into it. So Lucas, maybe for those that haven't had the opportunity to join the previous shows, we could do some sort of like a review of what we discussed in previous episodes. So could you explain what PrEP is, and also, is PrEP for me? Who is eligible to take PrEP?
Thank you very much, Michelle. So PrEP, PrEP simply means pre-exposure prophylaxis. This is a medication. It's an anti-HIV medication taken by people who are negative to prevent them from getting HIV. And PrEP is initially eligible, so it's for everyone who is HIV negative and feels he or she is at high risk. Thank you, Michelle.
All right, thank you so much for that, Lucas. Sabiana, tell us, the steps with regards to starting PrEP. So where's the first step? Where do we start from, and how is the procedure?
Okay. Thank you so much, Michelle. Usually, when one decides to take PrEP, this question is usually combined with people who ask, why should I start PrEP? Is PrEP really for me? And so, yes, it is for you if you're concerned about being HIV negative. And so some things to consider is, have you had unprotected sex with a person who you don't know the HIV status of? Have you been sharing needles, or do you just engage in risky behavior? So once you answer those questions yourself, you can go to any clinic or a health facility, and you find healthcare providers there, and you'll be subjected to some counseling and also some eligibility criteria. They have a screening too, and from here you'll be submitted to an HIV test, like Lucas earlier said, which you should be HIV negative. And once you do your HIV test, you'll get things like liver functioning test and kidneys. And once you're good to go, you can access PrEP. You can be dispense the drugs in just that particular day.
Okay, thanks for that, Sabiana. So is there any other option, to take for HIV prevention apart from PrEP?
Oh, definitely, definitely. So the number one and most common one is abstinence. If you can abstain, then you are guaranteed of an HIV-free state. And if you do not use needles, you do not share needles, and also the correct ways of using condoms every single time you have sex. However, if these options are not for you, then I feel you can take advantage of the PrEP and PEP medications which are there.
Okay. I know one of the most common questions that, has come up from young people is, why should I take PrEP, when I can just take ARVs if I get HIV?
Oh yes, young people are very adventurous. So
Mm-hmm.
you can take ARVs. However, then it means that you have been you are HIV positive. And so now the
Mm-hmm.
question back to our adolescents is: would you rather have HIV and take the antiretrovirus for the rest of your life, or would you be take something that will prevent you from getting HIV and have an HIV-free life? So PrEP is actually there to prevent you from actually getting HIV. And
Mm-hmm.
whereas the ARVs are there to be taken once you're HIV positive and which should be taken for the rest of your life. So I feel PrEP is actually the way to go if you want to be prevented and stay HIV negative.
And I've noticed that there's usually a bit of, confusion between the two, the PrEP and just taking ARVs if you are HIV positive. So maybe there's a young person out there who would like to know, if I take PrEP, does it mean that I will take PrEP for the rest of my life?
Oh, okay, okay. So indeed that confusion is there. Well, PrEP, like we said, this is a preventive medication that will prevent you from acquiring HIV. And for you to seek it, you'd have noticed that there is something that is exposing me to HIV. But when this risk is taken away, let's say you are engaging in unsafe sexual practices, and then you stop these practices, why should you continue taking PrEP? So as long as you're subjected to a risk and this risk is ongoing, for you to prevent yourself from getting HIV, you have to take the PrEP medication. But if you convert, and in medical terms they call it seroconversion, you change from HIV negative to HIV positive, then we'll change you now to be taking the ARVs, which are for in a more detailed way, they are a 3-drug combination, and this will be taken every single day.
Okay. And what happens if, let's say, for example, I happen to miss taking a pill on one day? What happens after that?
I feel I think I'm also a victim of this one. We don't constantly take our medicines on time.
Yes.
But hey, um, drugs have got a half life. And so when you, let's say, miss taking your medication, you take usually at 2 p.m. Then you miss taking it at 2 p.m. Then you can easily take it at 3 p.m. But we should not make this a habit. Let's just make sure that we know we time our medication with a daily routine. So let's say, for instance, you brush your mouth at 8 o'clock. You can couple that activity with taking your medication so much that you do not forget when to take your drugs.
Okay, thank you so much for that, Sabiana. We're having some comments, I think, on our Facebook page. People are watching us from Sioma and many other parts of the country. Thank you so much for tuning in. Feel free to leave your comments, your questions. I see that Solwezi is well represented as well. So do leave your questions and your comments, and we'll be able to attend to them. So Lucas, what happens if I decide to stop taking PrEP? What do I do if I want to stop PrEP today?
Thank you, Michelle. So basically, like Fabiana says, PrEP is simply outweighs the risk someone has. So if you feel, Michelle, you are no longer at risk of contracting HIV and you want to stop PrEP, you have to come to the facility. And when you come through, you'll be advised, because you don't just stop PrEP bluntly, where you just stop because you feel like today the risk ends. There's a time frame where you have to take the drug for a certain period of time before you actually stop it finally.
Okay. And can I take PrEP for one night only? For example, if I just wanted to try it for one day, can I take it for one night?
So PrEP, you cannot actually just take it for a night or just for a day. For example, like Sabiana had mentioned, for PrEP to be effective, someone has to take it for 21 days so that it's highly effective. And that's when actually someone can actually now engage in sexual activities or other high effect risk activities. So it cannot work once someone just takes it on a day.
Okay. Thank you so much for that. So Gazire, moving on to you. Can I use PrEP with any other type of contraceptive? Is it advisable for me to use it?
Yeah, thank you very much, Michelle, for that question. And I think that's a common question that we get to have for most of us that are working with the adolescents. So, like we have explained like we have heard from Sabiana as well as Lucas, this is pre-exposure prophylaxis. And the term itself, pre-exposure, it means that it prevents you before you can actually contract the virus. That is if you're at high risk. But key note that most of the healthcare workers would tell our adolescents, or rather the people who want to take on PrEP, because they feel that high risk, is that PrEP will only prevent you from contracting HIV, and it will not protect you from being pregnant. It will not protect you from having STIs. So yes, most definitely, it's always important to couple your PrEP with condoms, or rather family planning for those that are planning not to have kids to start with. Yeah, so it's very important to couple it with the other preventive measures, that is condom use as well as family planning.
Okay, thanks a lot for bringing that up. So then, which would bring me to my next question. Would I be able to stop using condoms if I'm taking PrEP?
Okay, yeah, it's still covered with what I had mentioned earlier. So it goes with the risk. Sabiana had given us an introduction to the ABCs. We're talking about abstinence, we're talking about being faithful, and we're also talking about condom use. So for those that feel that they've built a relationship, that they can trust their partners, it's it's the B that goes for being faithful, and probably they're also planning to have kids. So if they stop the use of condoms, it's rather a decision that probably a couple that is comfortable enough can reach out to the healthcare worker to discuss the steps that they need to take in stopping PrEP, and what they're planning to do as well. So we're looking at being HIV negative, reducing the risk of contracting the virus, and also looking at reducing the risk of STIs and falling pregnant. So the adolescents really need to talk to their healthcare workers on what their plans are. Have they reduced on the risk of HIV? Do they know the sexual status of their partner or their multiple partners? Are they ready to have a child, or are they faithful to each other? Can they completely be 100% sure that they'll use the B in protecting themselves? So these are comprehensive talks that the adolescents need to consider with the healthcare workers as they consider to stop taking PrEP. Yeah.
Okay, thanks for that, Gaziria. We did have a question from Dorothy Sakala, who's asking, how safe health-wise is a person who is wrongly put on ARVs and this person takes it for a period of more than 1 month? Sabiana, can you help us with that one?
Yes, sure. This is a very interesting case. First of all, for somebody to be given ARVs, they have to undergo a series of tests, because even when we come to the health facility, there is an initial HIV test, which I use the determining test. Then if it's positive, you're going to get the SD bioline test. And if it's also positive, that's when you can go for the option of test and treat. However, we're using these methods. There's also there's an error which can happen, because these instruments we use have been exposed to the sunlight, or whatever reason, it wrongly says you are positive. Then you take your HIV. This person is put on HIV treatment. They take it for a month and they do a retest, it's negative. Again, you find out that is this these drugs usually have everything that has an effect has a side effect. But like I said, this is a very interesting one. And so health-wise, if they take it for a month and they discover that they were wrongly put on ARVs, they can easily withdraw those drugs, and then we continue monitoring. So now we'll go back to the 3 months testing, and also maybe we also do a recent test and a viral load test, just to make sure that indeed this person was wrongly put on these drugs. But you can withdraw the drugs and continue monitoring and testing this client.
Okay, all right. So we have another question from Stephen Chikwa, who says, I recently came across a couple in which the woman stopped taking PrEP because of supposedly side effects. So what are the side effects of taking PrEP?
I think Lucas can jump on this one.
Okay.
Thank you, Tatiana. She's saying this woman actually stopped taking PrEP because of side effects. The common side effects for PrEP are usually dizziness, nausea, headache, and fatigue, but they usually go away in no time, within 2 or 3 weeks. So there's no permanent side effects related to PrEP as of now. But usually, no wonder we have return visits where after a refill, a clinical visit, an assessment is done on each client to see if there are any side effects which are not going away, so that they can actually be clinically handled.
Yes. And I think
Michelle, just to jump on that one as well.
Okay.
Yes,
sorry,
Gazir.
Sabiana. Yeah, so I also wanted to add, because I noticed in Stefan's question, he was talking about PEP and PrEP. And just to make mention that these are two different things. So if we're going to talk about PrEP, we're talking about the pre-exposure prophylaxis. Whilst when we talk about PEP, this is the post-exposure. So we need to get that understanding, I think, for our adolescents to be able to know as they go and seek for information, they should be able to know when we talk about pre-exposure, this is when you have actually you know that you're at risk and you want to prevent the risk, and you start taking the pre-exposure. So the word itself, pre, is something that you do before, rather. And the post-exposure is this is exposure that an adolescent or any person maybe had gone into risky behavior. Maybe they had unprotected sex, or maybe they shared a needle or a syringe of a person that they were not sure of. Instead, you go to the healthcare worker to actually seek information or medication within 72 hours for you to prevent yourself from contracting HIV. So I just wanted to make that clarification.
Thank you so much for that clarification, Gazir. And I did notice that Stephen actually did correct himself. I think it was a typo, so he actually meant PrEP. Thank you for that. Yeah. We have another question from George Mulenga, who's saying, is PrEP available at every facility, or there are specific facilities where one can access them? I think I'll throw this to you, Sabiana.
Okay. So right now is the Ministry of Health and with its partners are making sure that PrEP is distributed across. Hello, okay. So thank you. So I'm saying the Ministry of Health and together with its partners are making sure that PrEP is available across all the sites. Firstly, it was selected sites, but now with the coming partners, the MOH is making sure that PrEP is widely spread and distributed to facilities across the country.
Okay, thank you so much for that. So Gezira, I just wanted to find out. I know we spoke about using PrEP with condoms, but also does PrEP work when used with other HIV prevention methods apart from just using condoms?
Oh. Okay, yes, it does. It does because
Mm-hmm.
it also prevents you from other diseases, probably that, like we had made mention earlier.
Mm-hmm.
If we're talking
Yeah.
about sexually transmitted diseases or infections, yeah, or
Mm-hmm.
rather, if you want to prevent yourself from falling pregnant.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you so much for that. So Lucas, I wanted to find out, is it possible for me to share PrEP with other people? So let's say, for example, um, maybe I'm sharing PrEP with my partner. Am I able to share my medication with someone else?
So basically, the PrEP drugs are personal drugs. So if they are given to you, they are just for you, Michelle, because
Mm-hmm.
PrEP is based on adherence. You remaining
Mm-hmm.
negative is how you adhere to these drugs, how you take these drugs according to the prescription you are given. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I also wanted to find out, Lucas, does PrEP provide any other type of protection?
So, like we said, pre-exposure prophylaxis, which is PrEP, it simply gives one-way protection, which is protection against HIV. It does not give protection against STIs, neither does it
Mm-hmm.
prevent pregnancy. So it only gives prevention against HIV.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I've noticed we have another question from Stephen Chikwa, who's asking how long can a male have unprotected sex after taking PrEP for 1 week? Lucas, you can go
Well,
ahead. Or Salviana, any of the
So,
two.
it's fine. Lucas can
yeah,
take
so
it.
basically,
Okay.
uh, before saying if someone had unprotected sex after 1 week or for 1 week, so if they
Mm-hmm.
had started PrEP and have been on PrEP for 21 days and they have been having unprotected sex, as long as they
Mm-hmm.
remain on PrEP, they are actually safe. But if they have been having unprotected sex before being
Mm-hmm.
on PrEP, they are now eligible for PrEP, not for PrEP. Maybe Sabiana, you can
Okay.
add more.
No, you've said it perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, sorry to just jump the gun here. There's a very interesting comment that is here, and I feel it's
Yeah.
a very, yeah. So this one, please.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this one is from Catherine. Says, what happens when
Mm-hmm.
you take for more than 21 days? Is it harmful if you take it the whole 30 tablets? Thank you so much for this question because usually when we're explaining the duration of taking these medications, each bottle comes in with 30 tablets, meaning you're taking it for 30 days. And then, due to biological effects that we cannot explain here, PrEP will be widely distributed in males faster, meaning males, if they take it consistently for 7 days, they can
Mm-hmm.
engage in risky behaviors and the chances of them getting HIV will be reduced. However, for
Mm-hmm.
females, they'll have to take it for 21 days if they're planning to engage in a risky behavior for it to be effectively and protect them to that 99%. But the drug, like I said, the whole box is a 30-day packaging, meaning you have to take it for more than 30, for the entire 30 days. You don't just need to say, no, I've taken it for 7 days if I'm a male or 21 days if I'm a female, then stop afterwards. No. Please
Mm-hmm.
take your medications as prescribed by your health provider, meaning you're taking the
Mm-hmm.
entire 30 days. And if at all you decide to get a refill, you just continue from the 30 days that the drugs will finish.
Okay. Thank you so much for that clarification, Sabiana. I don't know if I saw another comment or question, or maybe it was just A quick hello. Okay. No, this one I think we looked at. So Stephen is asking what measures are put in place to ensure that each facility sensitizes and provides PrEP.
Okay, I can jump on that one, Michelle. Yeah,
Thanks,
thank you very
Gizir.
much for that question. Yeah, so we have for our adolescents specifically on this platform is that in all the
Mm-hmm.
facilities we have what we call the youth-friendly spaces. So in these youth-friendly spaces, this is where you can get widespread information about anything in terms of health-wise. It could be PrEP, it could be PEP, it could be
Mm-hmm.
condoms, it could be VMMC. So it gives you like a whole one-stop IC, rather information, education, and communication stop where you can get all this
Mm-hmm.
information. And
Mm-hmm.
because of the term itself, the youth-friendly space, it has a
Yeah.
peer-to-peer approach where the peers that are found in the youth-friendly space will actually be able to direct you to a department of interest. So say, for
Mm-hmm.
instance, you want to start your PrEP and you get your
Mm-hmm.
information from the youth-friendly space. They'll then be able to know who in that particular facility will be able to help you with the initiation. And further on, we have facilities that have been privileged to have the Rise Up project, apart from other
Mm-hmm.
different projects that are within the facilities. So, like here in Lusaka, we have Rise Up in the 4 sites. We have Matero, we have Kanyama, we have Chilenja, and Chawama. So, with this Rise Up project, the adolescents are also able to get information from the youth friendly space or in the Rise Up spaces, or rather for these spaces in Lusaka, we even have the Rise Up houses in these sites.
Mm-hmm.
And for the
Yeah.
Copper Belt, we also have the Rise Up spaces like in Buchi, we have
Mm-hmm.
Chipokotamayamba in Dola, New Masala in Dola, Chimwemwe, as
Mm-hmm.
well as Ipusikilo. So for those that have the privilege of having projects like the Rise Up, this is a safe space for the adolescents to actually even take a deeper dive to get more information about adolescent sexual reproductive health. So basically, there are
Mm-hmm.
lots of stakeholders that ensuring the health services of the adolescents. So we just have to
Mm-hmm.
actually take advantage of those services once we just inquire from a facility that is within our catchment area. Yeah. Thank you very much, Michelle.
All right. Thank you so much, Gazir. So unfortunately, time is never on our side when we're having
Mm.
fun and sharing all this amazing knowledge. So I will be, asking each of our panelists to just, in a very short space of time, to just give us any last remarks. Gazira, I'll start with you. Any final words of encouragement to the young people?
Okay. Yeah, it's good that they have this platform to get information because I know it's very difficult to go to a health facility and just ask
Mm-hmm.
for such information. But to the young people, I think I would urge them to find within their catchment areas
Mm-hmm.
projects or people that can actually help with this information and just to use social media to get more information about what they need to know in terms of sexual reproductive health. So I think we're in the fight for HIV together, and please feel free to ask all these questions via the platform for the adolescents that we are linked to right now. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Gazira. George actually says this is awesome and it's very helpful and educative. Thank you, George. We are glad that you found this program very educative. Sabiana, your final remarks?
Thank you so much. I would like to appreciate everybody who took time to join us and just interacting like this. So please, for more information, visit your nearest healthcare providers wherever you're situated or wherever you're coming from. Find out more about this PrEP education or in any other HIV preventive measures. You have highly trained people there to assist you, and you can interact with us through our various platforms. Thank you.
Thank you, Sabiana. Lucas, over to you.
Thank you for everyone who has been following, and thank you for the questions. Thank you for ZY platform for this platform you have given for which is very educative. disseminating educative and healthy information to adolescents throughout. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And my name is Michelle Malunga. You have been watching the Scale Up PrEP Access campaign live show on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. This show is proudly brought to you with the compliments of the Zambian Youth Platform with support from PEPFAR and CHAZ. On today's episode, I was joined by Gezira Tembo, who is the Deputy Country Director, Technical for Rise Up. I was also joined by Sabiana Piri, who is the Youth Friendly Advisor, as well as Lucas Banda, our Data Associate, and Chola Kaoma, who was our sign language interpreter this afternoon. So thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye from all of us, and thank you.
Bye.